Well, viewers, we're getting some more breaking updates as far as the Ukrainian crisis is concerned. Now, reports, in fact, have suggested where Hungarian government sources have responded to the Zelensky interview by our editor-in-chief, Arnab-Zelenskyy, where Hungary government sources have said that they cannot blame Ukraine's president for urging others to send arms as well. Remember, in that very crucial mega-exclusive interview that he had given to our editor-in-chief, Arnab-Zelenskyy, he had stated that they do want more than just condemnation by the Western world and the European Union countries as well, that they need a proper... they need the military equipment as well on the ground. And for more details on this, let me go across to my colleague Niranjan joining us from the Mumbai newsroom. Niranjan, this is huge now that the Hungarian government is also responding to that mega exclusive interview that took place yesterday and stating that they cannot blame Ukrainian president for calling for more help.
Well, that's correct. In fact, looking at what's happening, Hungary is a border state with Ukraine. So Hungary has a lot of stake with Ukraine. So Hungarian government sources who watched the interview very, very closely, spoke to Republic TV and gave us a full lowdown of what they felt about the interview and some of the points that Zelensky has made in the interview. Let us go point by point and the conversation as it happened and what the Hungarian government is saying about what Zelensky had to tell Arnab in that interview, the world exclusive. Now, several governments have responded. You've seen what France has said, China, even Italy, indicating that they are willing to be security guarantors, point by point on the different news points and the global headlines out of the interview. First, on the arms that Ukraine is getting from the West, on that particular point, Zelensky told Arnab that his government and his country will not use any of these arms against Russia. He said, we are looking at defensive operations, we are not looking to attack Russia. Now, on Ukraine getting arms from the West, the Hungarian government source is telling Republic TV that you can't really blame Zelensky, you can't blame Ukraine for urging others to send arms because he has a task and they have a task of shielding their soil. The second news point on seeking security guarantees, Hungarian government sources saying that it's perfectly understandable for Ukraine to wage an international campaign as they are to get security guarantees from as many countries as possible. Point number 3, on the military help to Ukraine, they are very clear. Hungarian government, in fact, Hungary is a part of NATO, and the Hungarian government source is saying you can't help the Ukrainians, saying we, that is Hungarians, can't really help Ukraine without destroying ourselves. Now, there's a reason why they are saying that, because they can't stake everything. In fact, the Prime Minister and the government of Hungary, Orban, by the way, Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, has been re-elected to office, and he's seen as one of the strongest leaders, a record term that he's getting in Hungary. So he's seen as someone who's very close to Putin. Now, he's saying, if I can impose sanctions, but if we impose sanctions on oil and gas, then the Hungarian economy will collapse. And they've also said to Republic on the sanctions being half measures that they can't really extend the sanctions to energy and that they need Russian oil. Speaking about the brutalities in the war zone, the Hungarian government saying we need a ceasefire because the war is increasingly becoming more and more brutal, talking about efforts. In fact, they told me off record that there was actually a call between Putin and Orban, and that call was made by Vladimir Putin to Orban, the Hungarian Prime Minister, to congratulate him for his victory in the elections. And they spoke about what they can do. In fact, the Hungarians have been forthcoming to say that they can host both Putin and Zelensky in Budapest if required for the talks, which of course Zelensky hasn't really agreed to. Zelensky is seen as someone who's a critic of Orban, and Hungarians, of course, being very, very careful and measured in their response. Also, on the comment of Zelensky saying that some of these nations are looking inwards, Hungarian government sources saying that we are destroying our economy by having no access to energy from Russia. And finally, on the Russian assault, saying that we condemn the Russian assault, but we can't help Ukrainians without destroying ourselves in the process. So some of the global reactions that you're getting on the Arnab-Zelenskyy interview, that's the Hungarian point of view that I just gave you. And it's a border state. Many of our students, in fact, who've reached India, have also reached India via the borders in Hungary. So keeping a close track on the situation and getting you the breaking news updates. Back to you for now in the studios.